The assassin's blade caught the throne room's crystalline light as it sliced through the air toward Queen Leanna's heart. Captain Marcus Chen didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled, a cold, calculating expression that made the Vrex killer hesitate for one fatal microsecond. That hesitation cost everything. Marcus moved like liquid mercury, his enhanced reflexes kicking in as the assassin's momentum carried him forward. The captain's left hand caught the Vrex's wrist, redirecting the blade's trajectory past the queen's shoulder. His right hand drove upward, fingers rigid, striking the assassin's throat with surgical precision. The Vrex gurgled, stumbling backward. 6 feet of scaled muscle and cybernetic enhancements, yet he moved like a drunk child under Marcus's guidance. The captain's smile never wavered. "Your Majesty," Marcus said calmly, not taking his eyes off the assassin. "Perhaps you'd like to step back." Queen Leanna remained seated, her violet gaze fixed on the struggling killer. "I think not, Captain. I want to see this." The assassin recovered faster than most species could manage, whipping around with a second blade, this one crackling with neural disruptors. Marcus caught the weapon between his palms, the energy searing his skin. He didn't flinch at the pain. "Vrex assassins?" Marcus observed conversationally, as if discussing weather patterns. "Impressive physical capabilities, enhanced skeletal structure, redundant nervous systems." He twisted his hands, and the energy blade shattered like glass. Predictable tactical responses. The alien hissed, mandibles clicking in fury. It spoke in broken standard. "Human. Impossible, your kind." Soft, soft. Marcus tilted his head, genuinely curious. "Is that what your intelligence reports said?" The Vrex lunged again, this time with bare claws extended. Marcus sidestepped, grabbed the assassin's arm, and used the alien's own momentum to send him crashing into the marble floor. The impact cratered the stone. "The problem with most galactic intelligence services," Marcus continued, walking slowly around the prone figure, "is they observe humans in peacetime. They see our diplomats, our merchants, our scientists. They think we're weak because we prefer negotiation to violence." The assassin rolled, sweeping at Marcus's legs. The captain simply stepped over the move, then dropped his knee onto the alien's spine with enough force to crack chitin. "They never study our soldiers." Queen Leanna leaned forward in her throne, fascination replacing any trace of fear. "Captain, how long have you known about this assassination attempt?" 47 minutes, Your Majesty. "The Vrex infiltration ship was detected entering our system. We tracked their approach vector, identified the likely target, you, and allowed them to proceed." The assassin's eyes widened in understanding and growing horror. "Allowed?" the Queen asked. "The Vrex hegemony has been testing our defenses for months. Probing, evaluating. They needed to see what happens when they actually threaten Earth's sovereign leader." Marcus knelt beside the assassin, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried through the vast throne room. "They needed to understand what humans become when someone threatens what we protect." The captain's hand moved faster than the eye could follow, striking 3 precise points along the Vrex's neck. The alien's body went rigid, paralyzed, but conscious. "The neural strikes will wear off in approximately 6 hours, Marcus explained, rising smoothly. "Long enough for our guest to be returned to his ship with a message for the hegemony." "What message?" Queen Leanna asked. Marcus's smile returned, and this time it held no warmth at all. "That humans don't just have soldiers, Your Majesty. We have something far more dangerous." He looked down at the helpless assassin. "We have humans who smile when killers come for those we've sworn to protect." The throne room's massive doors opened silently. 6 members of the Royal Guard entered, moving with fluid precision. They wore no armor, carried no visible weapons, yet the paralyzed Vrex began trembling uncontrollably. "These are my colleagues," Marcus said to the assassin. "They're going to escort you back to your ship. They'll be very polite about it. Humans are always polite when we're being our most dangerous." The guards lifted the Vrex as if he weighed nothing, though the alien massed over 300 pounds. They moved in perfect synchronization, faces calm, eyes alert. "Captain Chen," the Queen said as the guards departed with their burden, "remind me never to make an enemy of humanity." You couldn't if you tried, Your Majesty. Earth chose you as our queen. That makes you family. Marcus's expression softened slightly. And humans do terrible, wonderful things for family. Queen Liana nodded slowly, understanding dawning in her eyes. She had asked humanity to accept her rule when the colonial wars ended, thinking she was gaining subjects. Instead, she had gained something infinitely more valuable and dangerous. She had gained guardians who smiled at killers. In the depths of space, the Vrex infiltration ship received its passenger back along with a simple message encoded in their own military frequencies. Next time, send someone better. We're just getting started. The message was signed with coordinates, the location of 17 other Vrex intelligence assets throughout human space, all of whom had been under surveillance for months. Marcus Chen returned to his post beside the throne, hands clasped behind his back, expression serene. When Queen Liana glanced at him, he offered another smile, gentle this time, protective. She smiled back, finally understanding why the galaxy had learned to fear humans in war, but love them in peace. They were the same thing viewed from different angles. The Vrex assassin's desperate transmission reached the Hegemony flagship 3 hours later. It contained only 4 words, repeated until his voice broke. They knew. They knew. The Hegemony's war plans against Earth were quietly shelved that same day. Some threats, they learned, required more careful consideration than conquest. After all, humans had proven something terrifying. They could turn an assassination attempt into a diplomatic message, and they could smile while doing it. The Queen's guards stood ready, watching, always smiling. The message spread through underground channels within days, whispered in cantinas and transmitted through encrypted networks across the galaxy. The humans had a new queen. And she had guardians who turned killers into messengers without losing their composure. Captain Marcus Chen reviewed the intelligence reports flooding in from human agents embedded throughout known space. Every major power had taken note of the incident. The Kratnot Syndicate had canceled their planned raids on human shipping lanes. The Ethereal Collective had withdrawn their territorial demands in the Proxima sector. Even the war-hungry Thrake Empire was reconsidering their expansion plans. Fear was a useful tool when wielded properly. Your Majesty, Marcus said, approaching the throne where Queen Liana reviewed diplomatic correspondence. The Galactic Council has requested an emergency session regarding recent developments. They want to discuss our message, she said without looking up from her datapad. They want to understand how we knew about intelligence assets they weren't aware we detected. The Vrex infiltrators debriefing has leaked through several intelligence networks. Our capabilities are now a subject of considerable speculation. Queen Liana set aside her reading. Are they wrong to speculate? Marcus considered the question seriously. No, Your Majesty. We've been very careful about revealing our true defensive capabilities. Most species still believe human military strength comes from our technology and numbers. They think our ships are our primary asset. Our real strength is different. Our real strength is that we see everything and remember everything, and we choose when to act on what we know. The Vrex assassin wasn't a threat. It was an opportunity to demonstrate that human intelligence networks are more comprehensive than anyone imagines. The Queen stood, moving to the great window overlooking New Geneva's sprawling cityscape. Below, millions of humans went about their daily lives, working, learning, loving. The apparent normalcy was itself a kind of camouflage. How many other species have agents watching us right now? She asked. 47 confirmed intelligence operations from 23 different governments. We know the location of their assets, their communication methods, their objectives, and their reporting schedules. We've been feeding them carefully curated information for months, and they believe they're observing us secretly. They believe humans are naturally trusting and somewhat naive about galactic politics. It's a useful misconception. Queen Liana smiled, understanding the deeper strategy. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their soldiers or their ships. It was their willingness to be underestimated while remaining absolutely vigilant. The council session, she said. They'll want explanations we won't provide. Correct. They'll demand details about our intelligence capabilities, our defense networks, our response protocols. You'll deflect politely and offer cooperation within reasonable limits. While revealing nothing meaningful, Marcus confirmed. But the Vrex Assassin's report will speak for itself. Every species represented at that council meeting will leave understanding that humans see more than we admit and respond faster than they anticipated. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority communication. Marcus touched his earpiece, listened briefly, then nodded. Your Majesty, we're receiving surrender requests from 6 different pirate organizations that have been raiding human settlements. They're offering to cease operations and submit to Earth jurisdiction voluntarily. Fear spreads quickly. Respect spreads quickly. Fear is what they felt when they realized we could have eliminated them at any time, but chose not to. Respect is what they feel now that they understand we were giving them chances to reform. Queen Liana returned to her throne, settling into the ornate seat that had once belonged to the colonial governors. Everything had changed when humanity united under her rule, but the changes went deeper than political structure. They had become something new, not just a species, but a force that observed, calculated, and responded with precision that looked effortless from outside. Captain, what would have happened if the assassin had succeeded? Marcus's expression remained calm, but something cold flickered in his eyes. That scenario was never possible, Your Majesty. We had 17 different intervention points mapped out. If I hadn't been here, Lieutenant Harrison would have acted. If she'd been compromised, Sergeant Park was positioned in the upper gallery. If all visible security had failed, we had assets and positions the assassin couldn't have detected. How many people were protecting me during that attack? In this room? 4. In the immediate vicinity? 20. Within response range? Everyone, Your Majesty. The entire city was our protective perimeter. The scope of it staggered her. She had thought she was protected by the visible guards, not understanding that her safety was woven into the fabric of human society itself. The other species don't realize this yet. They're beginning to. The Vrex assassin detected only the obvious security measures. He reported back that human defenses were minimal and predictable. His superiors are now trying to reconcile that report with the actual outcome. Let me guess, they can't. Marcus smiled that same calm, controlled expression that had so unnerved the assassin. They're discovering that humans excel at creating false surfaces over deep waters. What they see as our civilization is real, but it's not everything we are. A new message arrived on Queen Liana's personal communication device, a formal request from the hegemony for a diplomatic meeting to discuss mutual understanding and cooperation. The message carried undertones of carefully worded respect that hadn't been there in previous communications. They want to negotiate now, she observed. They want to avoid finding out what else we've been watching. The assassination attempt was a probe to test our capabilities. Now they know we've been testing theirs. Queen Liana read the message again, noting the subtle shifts in diplomatic language that indicated the Vrex now considered humanity a peer power rather than a target for exploitation. Schedule the meeting, she decided. But Captain, yes, Your Majesty. Make sure they understand that attempted assassination is not typically how humans begin diplomatic relationships. Marcus's smile widened slightly. I'll ensure the message is unmistakably clear. The Galactic Council chamber stretched across a kilometer of polished titanium and crystal, designed to accommodate representatives from hundreds of species. Queen Liana entered through the human delegation's assigned entrance, flanked by Captain Shen and 3 other guards who moved with the same fluid precision that had so impressed the Vrex assassin. Conversations died as she passed. Every delegate present had received intelligence briefings about the assassination attempt and its aftermath. What had started as a routine attack on a primitive species leader had become something that made seasoned military strategists reconsider their assumptions about human capabilities. Ambassador Thrackmore of the Syndicate, a massive reptilian whose species had earned respect through conquest, inclined his head slightly as Liana approached her designated position. 6 months ago, he had barely acknowledged her existence, Your Majesty. He rumbled in Standard. The Council appreciates your attendance during these uncertain times. Uncertain times, Ambassador. Queen Liana kept her expression neutral, diplomatic. I was unaware the galaxy faced any particular uncertainties. The Vrex delegation's leader, High Commander Zek's call shifted uncomfortably in his biosupport cradle. His people were aquatic, requiring specialized equipment for extended surface operations, but his discomfort seemed to have little to do with environmental factors. Your Majesty, Zek's call's translated voice carried carefully modulated tones. The hegemony wishes to express our regret regarding the recent incident involving one of our citizens. Incident? Queen Liana tilted her head slightly. I believe the proper term would be assassination attempt, High Commander. Let's use precise language. Several delegates exchanged glances. The human queen's directness was noted. She wasn't deflecting or diplomatic face-saving opportunities. High Counselor Vex of the Ethereal Collective, whose species existed as energy patterns within crystalline matrices, chimed with harmonic frequencies that translated as concern. Your Majesty, the Council seeks to understand how this regrettable event was resolved so efficiently. The reports we've received seem incomplete. Captain Chen stepped forward slightly, a movement so subtle most species wouldn't have noticed it, but every military attaché in the chamber recognized the protective positioning. High Counselor, Queen Liana replied, the event was resolved through standard security protocols. Was there something specific about our response that requires clarification? Standard protocols, Ambassador Throckmore repeated slowly. Your Majesty, our intelligence services suggest that the response time and precision involved were remarkable for standard protocols. Queen Liana turned to Captain Shen with a slight smile. Captain, would you consider our security measures remarkable? No, Your Majesty. I would consider them adequate to the current threat environment. The words hung in the chamber like a challenge. If what they had witnessed was merely adequate, what would humanity's full capabilities look like? High Commander Zek's call's support system hummed more loudly as his stress levels increased. Your Majesty, perhaps we could discuss enhanced cooperation between our species. The hegemony has many resources that might benefit Earth. How thoughtful, High Commander. What changed your assessment of humanity's value as a potential partner? The directness of the question created visible discomfort throughout the chamber. Queen Liana wasn't playing the usual diplomatic games of implication and suggestion. She was forcing honest acknowledgement of the power dynamic shift. Your Majesty, High Counselor Vex interjected. Perhaps we should discuss broader galactic security concerns. Recent events suggest that intelligence networks throughout known space may be more interconnected than previously understood. An interesting observation, High Counselor. Are you suggesting that information flows more freely than some governments might prefer? The harmonic patterns emanating from Vex's crystalline form showed clear distress. We are suggesting that transparency between allies might serve mutual interests better. Alternative arrangements. Captain Chen's expression remained neutral. The major powers were beginning to understand that their intelligence operations against humanity had been thoroughly compromised. Transparency is indeed valuable, the Queen agreed. For instance, it might be helpful if the Thrak Empire explained why they've been conducting military exercises near human shipping routes. Ambassador Thrakmore's scales shifted color, a clear sign of shock among his species. Your Majesty, those exercises were classified military operations. Were they? How unfortunate that classification systems sometimes fail to prevent information from reaching interested parties. The implications crashed through the chamber like a wave. Not only did humanity know about the military exercises, they were calmly announcing that knowledge in front of the entire council. High Commander Zek's call's aquatic form moved agitated within his support system. Your Majesty, if human intelligence capabilities are as comprehensive as these discussions suggest, perhaps formal intelligence sharing agreements would benefit all parties. An interesting proposal, High Commander. What intelligence would the hegemony be willing to share in such an arrangement? That is, our networks focus primarily on monitoring human activities without our knowledge or consent, Queen Liana finished calmly. Yes, we're aware of those networks, High Commander. We've been aware for quite some time. The silence in the chamber was absolute. Every delegate understood what she was really saying. Humanity had been allowing various species to spy on them while remaining fully aware of those operations. Ambassador Thrakmor finally spoke, his voice carrying a new note of respect. Your Majesty, what outcome does humanity seek from these revelations? Queen Liana stood, her movement causing every guard in the chamber to tense slightly. Captain Chen remained perfectly still, confident in his ability to respond to any threat. We seek what we have always sought, Ambassador. Peaceful coexistence based on mutual respect and honest dealing. The difference now is that everyone understands our definition of mutual. Includes transparency about activities affecting Earth's security. She paused, allowing the words to settle before continuing. We are not threatening anyone. We are simply making it clear that humanity's patience and preference for diplomatic solutions should not be mistaken for ignorance or weakness. High Counselor Vex's harmonic pattern stabilized into what translators recognized as agreement. Your Majesty, the Collective would welcome formal diplomatic protocols that acknowledge current realities, as would the Empire, Ambassador Thrakmor added. And the hegemony, High Commander Zexkal said quickly. Queen Liana nodded graciously. Excellent. Captain Chen will coordinate with your security attachés to establish new communication protocols. I trust these will prove more transparent than previous arrangements. As delegates began activating their communication devices to contact their home governments, Queen Liana prepared to leave. The message had been delivered with perfect diplomatic courtesy, but its substance was unmistakable. The galactic power balance had shifted, and everyone needed to adjust their behavior accordingly. Captain Chen fell into step beside her as they headed for the exit. Your Majesty, initial response from monitoring stations suggests the major powers are already recalling their intelligence assets from human space. All of them? The obvious ones. The subtle operations will continue, but with much more careful parameters. They want to maintain awareness without triggering responses they can't predict. Queen Liana smiled as they reached their transport. Perfect. Let them wonder what we know and what we're waiting to reveal. Uncertainty will make them more honest than threats ever could. As their ship lifted off from the Council Station, encrypted messages were already flowing across the galaxy. The age of testing humanity through strength was ending. The age of negotiating with them as equals was beginning. In his quarters aboard the transport, Captain Chen reviewed status reports from human agents throughout known space. None had been recalled or compromised. Their positions remained secure because the other species were just beginning to understand how much they had underestimated human intelligence capabilities. The real secret wasn't what humanity knew, it was how long they had known it, and how carefully they had chosen when to act. From Earth's perspective, the assassination attempt had been perfectly timed to demonstrate their capabilities without revealing their full extent. Every major power now knew that humans watched everything and responded with precision, but none understood the true scope of human intelligence networks. Queen Liana settled into her chair, reviewing the diplomatic proposals that were already arriving from species who wanted to negotiate new agreements. The galaxy was learning to respect humanity not through fear, but through the dawning realization that humans had been playing a deeper game than anyone had suspected. The assassination had failed in its immediate purpose, but succeeded brilliantly in revealing the galaxy's political reality. Humanity was no longer the newcomer species to be tested and probed. They were the power that had been watching, waiting, and choosing their moment to reshape how galactic politics operated. Captain Chen's calm smile hadn't been arrogance. It had been confidence born of absolute preparation. And now the galaxy understood that when humans smiled at killers, it meant they had already won. The new age of galactic diplomacy would be built on that understanding, and Queen Liana intended to ensure it served humanity's vision of peaceful coexistence through strength. The message was complete. Humans protected what they valued, and they had chosen their queen wisely.